For $20, you can buy yourself one, too. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums, along with my brother Adam and our friend Jack. I'm Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. Then, go back and listen to that album for the week. We decide if it's something that you really must hear before you die. This week, I spun the wheel, and I got Lynyrd Skynyrd's debut album from 1973, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd.
This, in fact, may be, out of the albums we've spun so far, an album that I'm most familiar with.
I gotta say, it was like taking a sip of some nice, cold, southern sweet tea.
This album got a lot of play in our area on DVE, our local station, so right out of the gate, almost the whole album is familiar.
This one, the hits are the hits, and the rest is pretty forgettable, but it's only 8 songs, and half of them are classics.
And a few of my friends were big Skynyrd fans, and the cassette tapes were constantly in their car. The cassette does have a different track list because it split Freebird, which was strange. Not scared of Skynyrd.
When it comes to Lynyrd Skynyrd, I've got 2 copies of Skynyrd material. The first one is the CD that my wife Amy added to her collection at some point. The other one is this golden platinum vinyl that my father had when we were younger. So to me, all these songs kind of run together. I have no idea which songs are on which albums. I got a big lesson in that this past week as far as what songs are on their debut, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. Only 5 albums they had in the 70s. Never knew that till this week.
Do you guys have a Mount Rushmore of Southern rock, fellas? And if you do, who's on it for you?
I'd go Skynyrd, Allman Brothers Band. Let's go with the Outlaws because of Greengrass. And then let's go with Jim Dandy in Black Oak, Arkansas. The Teddy Roosevelt.
I'm going to say that Lynyrd Skynyrd is like the George Washington on the Mount Rushmore of Southern rock. A Mount Rushmore of Southern rock. I'm putting the Allman Brothers on there as my Thomas Jefferson. ZZ Top is my Abe Lincoln, just because of the beards and the hats. And then I'm going with Molly Hatchet as my Teddy Roosevelt, because he would have probably used the song Flirtin' with Disaster as a campaign song, especially when he was talking about William Howard Taft.
They say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But in the kingdom of Southern rock, where does Lynyrd Skynyrd reside? I'm going Kings. This is only pre-death Skynyrd. Not post-death Skynyrd, pre-death Kings. Then they drop a few notches later and become like a, Duke. Next question, please.
I remember when I was a kid in the 80s, seeing all those ZZ Top videos that made it on MTV. I always thought to myself, what if Skynyrd released a video for Gimme 3 Steps? How much of a sensation would that be? Cutting a rug down at a place called The Jug. What do you guys think?
If there was a video for Gimme 3 Steps, it would have been hilarious. It would have been on all the time. I'm thinking more like a Benny Hill kind of a funny take on it.
I would think that it would have ranked up there as like a ZZ Top Sharp Dressed Man or Legs video. I need to release it right around the time the movie Roadhouse came out, and you do a Roadhouse type video with a cameo from Patrick Swayze where it just ends in madness and everybody beating the crap out of each other at the end of the video. And that would be fantastic.
But I definitely think that they would have had fun with the video. And there's, approximately 20 or 30 guys in Lynyrd Skynyrd and 3 steps. So, maybe they were track stars in high school with their gym teacher, Lynyrd Skynyrd, or whatever. I think he was the gym teacher.
You are right there, Jack. They named their band Lynyrd Skynyrd after their high school gym teacher. And then producer Al Cooper decided, hey, why don't you guys call this album pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd? Because he had a tough time trying to figure out how to say the band's name when he first heard of them. So sticking with teachers, which teacher from junior high or high school are you using to start your band whenever you get out of school? I'll start. I'm going to go with Chuck Zarnock, 8th grade science teacher. The name of the band, the Chuck Zarnock Experience, a jam band, obviously.
I'm going to go with the legendary football coach slash gym teacher, Dan McGrew. We're going to rename him Nérd McGreward. He would sit in the coach's office and make us all shower, and he would sit there in his tighty whities smoking cigarettes. Those things just wouldn't happen today.
I don't know if this is a deep cut or not, but I'm going with Bogdan's Perm as my band. We'll leave a couple vowels out. We'll put an umlaut over the N to keep it interesting. Bogdan's Perm. We have a winner.
So my favorite part of the entire album, hands down, and you could say, the Freebird solo at the end, the guitar solo there, but I am going with the honky-tonk piano of Things Going On. And even though I'm not a huge fan of that entire song, when the piano kicks in, there is nothing better on the entire album.
Yeah, I agree, Adam. There's something about Billy Powell, the piano player. He was one of a kind. He was like a secret weapon. No shame on the 3-guitar attack that they had going on. Yeah, lots of different things that I really didn't pay attention to much before until now. Ronnie Van Zant, he's just a working man, and he gives you good, pure, simple lines. Obviously, it was Simple Man. See, I thought that song was only good for Ford truck commercials.
Forget your lust for the rich man's gold. All that you need is in your soul.
'Cause she was raised up on that cornbread, and I know that woman'll give me some. Shakespeare never wrote such a beautiful sonnet.
Something I did learn this week, though, was that Freebird was written for Dwayne Allman. All this time, I just thought it was like a song to an old teenage flame that, Lord, I can't change. I'm free. I got to move on. Lord, I can't change. Adam, what you playing for that teenage crush of yours?
Simple Man puts you directly in the friend zone. The girl's not going to want to have anything to do with you because they're going to see you as kind of wimpy. And Freebird was almost my senior class song, even though I graduated in the 90s. Tuesday's Gone has the perfect tempo to show your true feelings, to show how you would feel if the girl left, and it would touch into your emotional side, but it would also show some quiet strength.
My preferred, the softer side of Lynyrd Skynyrd, would be Tuesday's Gone. Tuesday's Gone, to me, if you'll remember the movie Dazed and Confused, is just kind of floating in the air as the party's ending and everybody's hungover and just kind of walking around. And that's real life, baby. That's happened a couple dozen times where that Tuesday's Gone. That is exactly what that song should make you feel like, what you're watching in Dazed and Confused. It is magical of how well those two intersect. On K-Tel, baby.
When we look at our ratings, 1 to 10 score for Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd, me and Adam both had a score of 7, Jack a 6.375, for an overall average of 6.790. Our 3 favorite songs, Freebird at 28, Give Me 3 Steps at 25, and Tuesday's Gone at 25. Bad news for the Mississippi Kid, who scored lowest with a score of 14. Hang in there, Mississippi Kid. And for the question on everybody's mind, must you listen to Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd before you die? Going into this, I didn't think I would say yes. After dissecting and learning a little bit more all the Skynyrd songs, and there is a lot of Skynyrd I like, and I do like a good bit of Southern rock, that this album has as many top-notch songs as it does compared to the other 4 albums, which I don't really think the other 4 would be something you must hear before you die. This one, though, the debut, it is something special. Al Cooper produced it. He got everything out of the band that makes them special. So definitely, I think you must listen to Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd before you die. Adam, what do you think?
The answer to that is absolutely. Over 50% of the album are classic rock royalty songs that you have to hear. And while the rest of it is kind of forgettable, overall, I think that it's one of the best Southern rock albums that you could listen to. And if I'm like recommending somebody to get into Southern rock, I think I'm telling them you got to start with Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd.
What do you think, Jack?
I've watched it invade a person's body and then make them dance. It just took over.
Yeah, that's nice.
The Lynyrd Skynyrd possessed them.
Should I be concerned?
I can't ignore how powerful it was to watch and to see how much they enjoyed Lynyrd Skynyrd. And I think Lynyrd Skynyrd's bad rap, all the negatives column for Lynyrd Skynyrd, is not actually pre-death Lynyrd Skynyrd. I think a lot of it has to do with Lynyrd Skynyrd fans. I don't know if Ronnie Van Zant would necessarily admire some of the things that the fans of Lynyrd Skynyrd are into or in support of. With that being said, not knowing how much other Southern rock or Southern fried rock is going to be on this list, I do in fact believe that someone should get exposed to pronounce Lynyrd Skynyrd, and yes, this is an album you should hear before you die.
3 yays. Adam, we are short on time. Let's get to the next album. What's next week gonna be?
All right, so the wheel's been spun. Looks like, oh yes, get ready to mix everyday criminal occurrences like domestic abuse and arson with some sick electronic rock beats, because up next on the Wheel of Albums is the one and only The Prodigy with their epic third album, The Fat of the Land. Till next week, keep as cool as our favorite high school history teacher, Ed Samurai, wearing a sweater in 85-degree heat at the end of May.